Hey.
How you going?
How are you?
Oh, yeah, good. How about yourself?
Nice to see you.
You too. You ready for coffee?
Love to.
What about this morning for you? Work?
Yeah, work this morning, gym, dog walk, work,
Yeah.
and coffee with you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I know we've,
Oh my God, it's fantastic.
well, we've known each other for over 10
Yeah.
years, so I thought, better, obviously I'm starting the show, so I wanted to
Yeah.
have you as one of my guests, so
13,
I really appreciate
I think it is.
Yeah, 13 years it
13
actually
years,
is. Yeah,
yeah.
I actually remember we had dinner
Yep, yep.
At your place, and telling my mum on the way, like, I'm going to Mel Doyle's for dinner, and she couldn't actually believe that I was going.
I made John make you pasta.
Yeah, I
You
know.
made pasta,
I specifically remember it.
Yeah. Although, being the fine Italian, you're probably going, oh, this is all right.
No,
but
I remember being. Well,
he's mastering
yeah,
it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I remember that vividly, but I really appreciate our friendship, and you're an inspiration for me and so many others. So I think it was really important to.
Yeah, I just feel honoured to have watched. I hate the term journey because I
Yeah.
feel like we're on a reality show, but it's the best word. I think you guys were so young
Yeah.
when you came over, and I always think of your mum and your dad, but just saying to you, obviously go live your dream. It's on the
Yeah.
other side of the country. Letting you go. I remember speaking to your mum, and we're like, we promise we'll look after them. We'll
I
take
know.
care of all these boys because you were just so young.
Yeah. Did you ever think you'd be on a board of an AFL club?
No, not at all. No, it was when they asked me to be number one ticket holder.
Yeah.
It came as such a surprise and such an honour, and I didn't even know what that meant. But
Yeah.
of course, I was in boots and all.
Yeah.
And then to be on the board now, I think I've just loved watching the club grow
Yeah.
from the struggles in the beginning and how hard it was, from everything from winning to getting crowds to getting sponsors to turning up somewhere and people going, who are you guys?
Exactly. Yeah.
To now everyone wants to be part of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm
Well,
sure. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I do. Like, I think that, like, the thing with the Giants, I'm not 100% sure because I'm not involved with all other clubs, but I think it's the people that make the club. I think the fact that I probably know 100 of our fans first name,
Yeah.
and then plus all our board and their families, our
Yeah.
families. Everyone feels a part of the whole journey, and just to do something from the very beginning is obviously special.
Yeah.
But it's been a journey, like you said, from Blacktown.
Yeah.
Originally, into Mountables. Our gym was somewhere else. We went somewhere else for a pool, and then to train at a different oval. It was just.
Yeah.
Now we obviously are very fortunate to have
And it's
everything
such
in
a
one
unique
spot.
experience, and I think how much that you in particular have impacted the culture of what we have today. How you boys were able to say, this is what we stand for, this is who we are, these are our values, these are our principles, and hold those the whole way through. So I think that's really cast such an impact on the group that we have playing today. So I hope you take full credit for that. It's pretty special.
No, not full credit. There's a few others.
And then remember our first win in Canberra. I
Yeah, that
remember
was good.
bursting into tears,
Yeah, I know.
thinking, I can't believe it. We had so much emotion in it.
Yeah, I
But
know.
it was pretty special.
Yeah, and then we lost by 100 points the next week, so back to reality.
Let's just focus on the good ones.
Exactly. What about your journey? Often we probably don't get the chance to look back.
Yeah, I'm not a big one for stopping and reflecting.
Yeah.
I think I'm more the person that just is in the moment, keeps going. But every now and then when someone asks me to talk about it, I think I do think that, the 12-year-old girl that wanted to be a journalist would hopefully be pretty happy
So that was
I
how
got
young
to
you
do
were when
it.
you first
Yeah,
wanted to
I
do it?
was 12 or 13 and I just knew that's what I wanted to
Yeah.
do. So I think she would probably go, yeah, awesome, you made it, you got to do it.
Yeah.
And there's definitely been moments along the way where I feel like I've surpassed what I would have hoped to have done.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely just I knew what I wanted, and I'm glad that it turned out to be what I wanted.
Yeah.
Because I think, when you've got an image of something, and I would hate to have
Yeah,
been
okay.
disappointed and go, oh damn, but no.
But it would be hard to envisage the success or where your career has gone. And so at what age do you think it shifted from this is what I want to do to hang on, this is a chance of becoming my reality?
I think I knew what I wanted. I sort of knew the path that I'd have to take to get there, and I'm just glad it worked.
Yeah.
I was in school and I took myself off to work experience. Anyone that would have me, I remember doing a week at the Manly Daily when I was in about year 9, and I went and got a midnight to dawn shift for a couple of weeks at 2UE in Sydney. And anywhere that I could go and who would have me as a school kid, I'd jump at. And then when I was at uni, same, I just kept doing it. It's my advice to young people now is just go do work experience. Just go get a taste for it, because first of all, you don't know who you're going to meet. And secondly, I think it just makes you certain that that's what you want to do or not want to do.
Yeah.
And then I was at uni studying journalism, and I went and did work experience at a TV station in Coffs Harbour.
Yeah.
And it was just definite that this is where I want to be. This is what I want to be doing. I want to be out in the field, standing amongst it.
Yeah. Not that, like you said, you don't always look back and reflect on your career. Are there times when you think back to the Manly Daily or going to Coffs Harbour and those choices that you had to make at that time?
Yeah, I think I'm glad that I was, for want of another better term, ballsy enough at the time to do it, to put up my hand and say, give me a shot, or can I come here, or can I try this? I think, sometimes I surprise myself that I did that, but there was nothing to lose at that age. I remember being in 3rd year at uni and having a list of all the news directors around the country, and showing my age here, but I'd go down to the public phone box in Bathurst and work through the list and call them all, and the ones that would pick up the phone and engage, then I'd highlight them and I'd ring them every single week. Every week I'd trudge downtown with my little bag of coins and just say, hi, don't suppose you got a job going, don't suppose you got a job going, till finally one said, oh, potentially. And so I did the big trek from Bathurst down to Canberra and got an interview with the news director, which led to my first job. So I think I look back at those moments of having the courage to just knock on a door, pick up the phone, keep going, not take no for an answer. And that obviously led to the first job, which then, same, you follow that courage and then goes into the next one and the next one. So, yeah, I'm glad I was brave enough to do it.
Yeah. You obviously had a list of people that you were calling. Now, at the stage you're at in your career, no doubt you'd have a list of, people that you've had the chance to meet or interview. Over your journey, who are some of the people you've been fortunate enough to spend some time with, to interview, to cover the stories? Just a couple. I know you're very humble, so...
Oh, no, but it's like, where do I start? I feel so lucky. I mean, I've got to interview some of the most extraordinary people. There's been a lot of them who have a profile and they've done amazing things, from actors, from, Jane Fonda and Tom Cruise and bands. Like I remember interviewing One Direction, and that's suddenly when my kids were interested in my job. And some incredible people, to many who were not known publicly, but have done extraordinary things. And I think I've taken away a little something from every single interview, whether it's be somebody with a profile or whether they're not known.
Yeah. And no doubt so many historical events as well along the way.
Yeah, I think covering big moments in time has been my favourite thing. That's one of the reasons I wanted to be a journalist. I remember being at school and watching the America's Cup win.
Yeah.
Years before you were born. And
still know about it.
Thanks. And thinking I wanted to be there when stuff like that happens. I wanted to be in the thick of it, and I wanted to be part of the crowd and the feeling and the atmosphere and the vibration and all those things. So covering big moments in time is probably what's been a highlight for me. So some of them have been joyous. I've covered the Oscars and royal weddings of William and Kate and Harry and Meghan and the Queen's Jubilee, and then the papal election. That was extraordinary, to be standing in St. Peter's Square where just, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Catholics had just surge into the plaza, twice a day, waiting for the smoke to change colour. That was extraordinary. President Obama's inauguration. Oh my gosh, I was standing on the roof of a high rise on the top of 2 levels of scaffolding, and it would have been, I don't know, minus something, and I was so cold. Hi.
We've got some coffee.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I would have given my right leg at that point to have had a piccolo. Hot one. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And some little treats as well.
Finger one as well.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
That takes me back to primary school. Thank you.
How good.
Finger buns and Devon sandwiches.
Why not?
That was primary school.
It's our day off, so we may as well.
Yeah, okay, well, if you will, I will.
We have to try
those things are amazing. I feel really lucky to have been part of it, and I always think of my job as being, I'm a representative of people at home, so I'm there on your behalf to tell you why it matters and what it feels like and what the atmosphere is and what the people are like and what they're doing, and Same when it was something tragic, you know, if it was the Black Saturday bushfires or Brisbane floods or the Lindt Cafe siege,
Yeah.
you know, to be there and tell people what was happening, what they needed to know, just that disseminating information. But also, you know, for people at home, why you need to know this.
What goes on 10 seconds before you go live in your head?
I know I've got a job to do. I think I can channel all of my energy and I'm very in the zone in the lead up to it, to the point where probably a little bit oblivious to some things that are happening that don't matter at that point, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like I'm standing there, my mind is completely clocking what's happening around me, who's around me, what's going on, and I'm really focused. But afterwards is when it will hit.
Yeah.
And I think at the time, I don't know, look, I've never played sport in my life, but I would imagine it's a bit like you go out there, you've got a job to do, but when it's done, oh my God, I would go home and cry.
Yeah.
I've had so many times. Some stories have impacted me for a long time afterwards. Some of them, it was, you know, a big outpouring of emotion straight away, and then I could sort of almost park it. To this day, I can see pictures and it just takes me right back there.
Yeah.
So, but you know, it's interesting because I always think I'm grateful that I still feel stuff.
Yeah.
I'd hate to have been doing my job for so long and be so jaded that I could stand somewhere and cover a fire or a siege or something and not walk away and cry.
No.
Because then I'd hate to be so hardened that I need to go change careers.
No, exactly. My older brother's a paramedic. I remember, you know, early in his career as a paramedic, you know, encouraging him to talk as much as possible around, you know what he's seeing. You're there front row for a lot of these things, so that's why. Hence, I wanted to ask you about the
hopefully
emotions.
colleagues help him, because I find I don't always want to bring it home.
No, exactly.
Sometimes you want to talk about it with the crew, but not bring it into the house, if that makes sense.
We hear your voice on the radio, we see you on TV.
God, you must be so sick of me.
You on boards of AFL clubs, you're emceeing events. When do you decide I'm going to write 4 books?
So 2 of them I wrote many years ago. The first one I wrote when I was on Sunrise, and it was about working mums and motherhood, and I just had this thing where people would look at me on telly and think that I had this great, perfect life and I must have had an army of helpers, and I kind of just wanted to dispel the myths, because I think every parent with young kids, it's pretty crappy at that time.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to share those stories. I did 2 of them during COVID, so I left 7 in 2020, and like everyone, I was at home twiddling my thumbs, and I'm not very good at that. So I did those 2. I wrote one about ageing when I turned 50, because everyone kept asking me how I felt about turning 50. It made me suddenly think, how do I feel about turning 50? So I wrote about ageing. And then I wrote another one called 15 Seconds of Brave, which was a collection of stories of people who'd been through remarkable experiences and come out the other side. So I just felt like I wanted to tell stories that brought a bit of perspective to what we were going through. So I did them. They were born from wanting to tell particular stories, but they were also born from me trying to stay busy, because if I didn't, I would have got really annoyed.
15 Seconds of Brave was the one, I think, for me.
I bought one for you. I got you a copy.
I was hoping that was
So
for
you
me.
can
Is that
take it
for
away
me?
and read it. Yeah,
Thank
just
you
what
so
you
much.
want to do.
Can I have it now? I'll have it.
Yeah, of course. I don't know, there's
Show
just
the
so
camera,
many amazing people doing extraordinary things, and I just wanted to share their stories, you know, not necessarily people that you hear from, so.
What's one coffee that's changed your life?
Oh, I was thinking about that. It's probably, I wouldn't say coffee, I'd say drink, if I can widen it.
No, you can do it. We can do that. Yeah.
A drink, meeting my hubby. We met on a blind date. So I had to have a drink because I was a little scared. But
set it
meeting
up?
John. Well, he asked me out over the phone.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah. It was a very funny story, and I won't embarrass the 2 of us. But yeah, it was a blind date.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I needed a drink just for the bravery factor. But yeah, I'm really glad I had the courage to do that.
Yeah.
To meet.
Snapchat or Instagram, was it?
Yeah, way before that time. He asked me to swim in a celebrity swimming race, and I was a newsreader in Canberra, and my answer was God, no.
Yeah.
And then he did the whole charming, well, I'll let you out of it if, you buy me dinner. And I'm like, I'm not going to buy some random guy dinner. And so he said, I'll buy you dinner. And I just said yes, and here we are.
An opportunity that came your way was with Sunrise, and you were there 14 years, no?
Yeah, 14 years.
So obviously incredible amounts of success on that show. You know, everyone pretty much in Australia was waking up to your face every day.
God.
What did that feel like going through?
It was humbling to know that we got to play a part in people's day. I still have letters that I've treasured from, there was a couple of women who independently but moved to Australia, didn't speak English, and would watch every morning and said that we were part of helping them learn to speak English. There was people that would write to me when they were undergoing, we did letters back then, that's paper to pen, really old-fashioned.
I think I know what it is.
I'm feeling so old now.
No.
People that were undergoing chemotherapy and they would watch us and we became their friends.
Yep.
Or mums up early feeding babies. Like I think the role that we got to play in not just doing the show and bringing the news to people, but being a friend that they would rely on to be there every morning at 6.
Yeah.
That was really special. I was pregnant during the show and, we showed my ultrasound pictures to announce it to our viewers. And having 2 little kids, there was days where I was on air and I was dead tired.
Yeah.
And I just didn't shy away from it. And I would often just say, hey, I remember doing an interview once and having some questions scribbled down and asking someone a question and they answered it and I was just staring blankly, clearly, and then I asked the same question again and they said to me, you just answered that live on air, and having that moment of going, oh my God, I'm here but I'm not here.
Yeah.
And I just had to own it. Live television, you can't hide anything.
Yeah.
And I think viewers saw when I was tired or when I was, however we were feeling. And we were us. So I think maybe that was part of the charm of the show, but I was the first to put up my hand and go, I'm really struggling today, please be kind.
I think everyone, obviously, even if they don't know you, would love or admire you just for that, happy, start to the day that everyone had. And I think...
But it's hard, isn't it? I'm sure you're the same.
Yeah.
Some days you go out and you're having a great game.
No.
And then other days you just think this is really, really hard. I always wonder how you got through when you were injured.
Yeah.
And you're out for a long time. I would think that would be really hard.
Yeah, I think, honestly, when it happens early in your career, the quicker you can turn that into an opportunity to come back better, and particularly mentally, because obviously physically you can't quite do that. Yeah, as I've gone on in my career, it definitely gets probably harder, especially now that we're contending and a really strong side and trying to push any game you miss you don't like. So there's a lot of dark times in rehab, but then again you're driving over the Harbour Bridge moment where you go, well, there's a lot worse off, a lot of people worse off in the world. Yes, I might not be playing, yes, I'm driving in early for a rehab session, but you're trying to always constantly put things into perspective and just how fortunate and lucky we are. Or
I'd be standing in a bushfire zone covering a story and I'd be, hungry and dehydrated and been talking and going for hours and hours, but hey, I hadn't lost my house.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
I hadn't lost someone I loved.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to maintain that perspective, whatever you're doing, which is sometimes easier and sometimes harder.
You're a leader in general, but particularly for women, you're someone who they honestly look up to. And I was asking Rebecca on the way in, I said, well, not on the way in, I asked her a couple of days ago, I said, I'm interviewing Mel, if you could ask her one question, what would it be? And she, now a mother of 2, like yourself, goes through when she was looking at her career versus being a mum and trying to be the best mum possible, but also trying to be the best version of herself in her work industry. How do you get that perfect balance? How do you not get the mum guilt, as she says,
well, you still do.
Yeah, you can imagine,
You just got to live with those.
How do you get the perfect balance? I don't know, you've obviously talked about it in your book.
Yeah, I don't think there is a perfect balance. I think there's always going to be things that you have to miss and sacrifices you've got to make. But I look at it as priorities. I think your priorities shift. Your priorities before you have kids are quite different than once you have children. Your priorities as a mum or a dad when you've got little kids is quite different than when they're older. I think it's always reevaluating what matters to you at that moment in time and what's top of your list. And I think back to, my decade in my 30s when I was getting up at 3 to do sunrise and my kids were little. Yeah. That's all I had the capacity for was home and work. There was just nothing else. I just didn't have the scope for it. And luckily I've got fabulous girlfriends that I've had forever, and I feel like I just had to drop off the face of the earth socially for a decade because I just couldn't, I was going to bed at 7:30 at night. I think there are times that you miss, and there are big sacrifices you make. Yeah, you're sad about the things that you miss, but I think it's a balance between, I hope I've shown my kids that I've followed my passion.
Great point.
taken my career in both hands and given it my all. I hope I've led the way that they can both go, well, you know, we can do whatever we just dream of. Yeah. And also, I think particularly for my son, I'm glad I have a boy who grew up watching his mum work just as hard as his dad. And so he will understand that, you know, we've all got our needs and times, and you know, I'm sure like you guys at the moment your career is really intense, and one day when you retire you'll probably have a bit more time on your hands and
100%.
you know, and let Rebecca do more. It's, you just got to keep juggling
act.
it.
What are your three, obviously in AFL we talk about, you know, 1%ers being those small incremental games that help us in our work. What are your three 1%ers or three non-negotiables, or just three keys to success that's created Melissa Doyle?
Let me think. Prep and focus.
Yep.
And discipline.
Yeah.
I'm always prepared. I'll always do my research.
Yep.
I'll over-research. I'd rather go in with too much than not enough. Yeah, they're probably the main ones. And yeah, discipline. You know, I was never late.
Yeah.
People used to say, what happens if I'd sleep in and miss it? And I was like, I never did. I never did. I'm always there.
Yeah, you were here 2 minutes before.
You know, but you just have to be, don't you? You can't be
yeah.
late.
No, you can't be late.
You can't come in 10 minutes after the siren Sorry,
exactly.
I'm here now. Delivering on the day.
Yeah.
You know, you're paid to deliver at that point in time. So, yeah.
I want to go back and talk about your work with World Vision.
Yep.
How long have you been with World Vision now?
I think it's probably about 20 years.
And some of your favourite places you've been or experiences you've been a part of with them?
I think Mongolia was probably my favourite.
Yep.
Extraordinary place. I went twice. That was just fascinating. Armenia. I loved Armenia.
Rebecca's Armenian, so
Great
I
food.
haven't been there yet.
Well, you have to. It's magic.
Yeah.
And I was looking out over Mount Ararat, and they were telling me that's where Noah's Ark is meant to be.
Yeah.
I just thought, oh my
The
God, I
history
just
in
felt
it,
like a little tiny, you know, flea on the face of the earth. Africa has been really beautiful. I think covering the Syrian refugee crisis was probably one of the most profound experiences for me, quite moving to be. I went to both Jordan and Lebanon and to see that exodus of refugees from a war zone, and I met this young girl, Hind, who was 15, and her dream had been to grow up and become a teacher, and they were living in this tent at the back of a construction site with her family because they'd had to flee their home, and you know, her entire world just changed instantly, and just the strength of these most remarkable people who were having to leave everything they've ever known through no fault of their own and go somewhere and start again, their strength and bravery. So, you know, stories like that just change you.
Yeah.
I can't come home not affected.
Yeah.
So that's been, I think that's probably changed me as a person.
And then going into Africa, some of the...
Yes, Kenya, Zambia. Beautiful people, beautiful country, beautiful culture, and knowing that we can have an impact, you know, we can actually make a difference. I think particularly I'm interested in education and making sure that girls can stay at school as long as possible, and the longer a girl is in school, the less likely she is to marry young.
Yeah.
Just to know that we can actually have an impact on someone's life is a really incredible honour that makes me feel like I'm not wasting my time on earth.
Yeah. All right, I've got some quick hits for you, Mel.
Okay.
But before that, I need a
bit
bite
of
of this. It's been
sustenance.
sitting there probably too long.
I know, it's looking at me.
It's going to be hard to... I'm
It's
going to eat
buttered.
just
I know. I feel like I need to rip it apart and consume it.
a slab of butter.
It's a slab, all right.
That's very good, though.
Okay, just as long as I don't spill it.
I reckon it's been 20 years since I've had one of them. You're all a Dolce Vita, so if there was no work, no worries in the world at all, where would you live with your family?
Definitely Italy.
Yeah.
And John, being of Italian heritage, speaks the language, love the food, love the culture.
Anywhere in particular?
Oh, there's so many places I haven't been to, so I don't really know. I mean, God, who doesn't love Tuscany?
Yeah.
But I want to go to Sicily and explore.
Yeah.
Yeah, haven't been to Positano.
Yeah.
Just the whole country.
Awesome. Your perfect Sydney food day, so breakfast, where are you going, lunch, dinner and a bar?
Okay, I love a good breakfast. I'm such an eggs girl,
Yeah.
so I would probably just go up to my little local
Yep.
and get my good coffee and good brekkie. Lunch, I think, give me a good seafood lunch.
Yep.
You know, sit
Something with a
outside.
view?
Yeah, somewhere by the harbour. Maybe even the Sydney fish markets.
Yeah.
Do love prawns.
That's
I
a
could
good
just
shout.
do a big thing of oysters and hot chips. You've got to have hot chips when you have prawns. It's just a thing, I don't know why.
Don't know anyone who doesn't like the hot
Oh,
chips.
so good, isn't it? Dinner, gee, I hope this is not all in the one day because I'd be rolling home. Dinner would be either a cute little tiny Japanese hole in the wall where I get amazing sashimi,
Yeah.
or it would be Italian.
Yeah.
Yeah, John cooks
Awesome.
good Italian, so maybe I just stay home at this point and make him cook.
Any good bars that you love?
Well, not really done bars for a
Yeah,
while. I'd have to
yeah.
ask you that. Anywhere that does a good Negroni.
Yeah, there's a place called Apollonia
Okay.
in the city. I recommend.
All
I'll
right.
send you
Okay,
later.
recommend that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
A free kick to you, so someone over the journey that's given you the best bit of advice.
It's funny, it's John, my husband. He taught me to control the controllable.
Yeah.
So that's my motto in everything from work
Yeah.
to traffic jams.
Yeah. No, nice.
So I just sit there in traffic going,
Yeah.
can't do anything about it. Who
Living
do I
in
need
Sydney,
to ring?
living in Sydney, yeah.
Or, job-wise,
Yeah.
just, okay, control the controllable.
Yeah.
Very wise.
You've given so many throughout this whole show, but the free kick you can give to someone else, a listener, listening, the best bit of advice that you could give them.
I reckon I'd say to anyone, just be you. Find who you are, what makes you tick. We're all, pardon the pun, but all cogs in a wheel.
Yeah.
I always say to my kids, so, what's your role? What is it that you do? When often people, I meet young, if I mentor young journos, I want to grow up and be you. I'm like, don't be me, be you.
Yeah.
Be you, you're different, so
Yeah.
find your thing.
Yeah. If you could wear any clothing brand, it has to be one for the rest of your life.
I'd probably say Scanlon Theodore, seeing as
Yeah.
I'm dressed head to toe in them. So
Sounds like-
I'm a bit of a lazy shopper. I'm like, I love their stuff.
Sounds
Just-
like my wife.
Yeah, one
sounds
shop.
exactly-
Thank
that'd
you.
That'd be one as well. Yeah.
I'll meet her there.
Yeah. The thing that you're most proud of in your life.
I know it's probably corny, but my kids.
No, it's not corny.
Yeah, they're just
I think it's
awesome human beings.
Yeah.
I love their company. I'm loving watching them blossom into the people that they are,
Yeah.
as you're doing with your beautiful
We'll
girls
put John
now.
in there as well. We'll put John in there as well.
Yeah.
We'll get him in there. Your 3 health and wellness tips.
Look, I do notice when I drink more water, it's good
Yeah.
for you. I know it's a cliche, but it's
Yeah.
so true.
You've just started a new show as well, no?
Yeah, on health and wellness. So I
Yeah.
better go in there with my big list.
Yeah. What's it
Mental
called for everyone?
health, it's called House of Wellness
Nice.
on a Friday night.
Yeah.
Lots of questions, lots of myth busting,
And with a better footballer.
with a lot of fun.
With a better footballer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's lots of fun though.
Yeah.
Mental health, it's walking my dog.
Yeah.
It's going to the park and being outside in the greenery, in the blue sky and walking my dog is
Yeah.
really good. I think the other thing I've learned over the years is just not to beat myself up, do
Yeah.
my best. Some weeks I feel like I'm great, I eat really healthy, I live a good healthy life, and then the following week it all falls over.
Yeah.
So I try not to beat myself up.
Yeah. Awesome.
I don't know if they're really health and wellness tips, but anyway.
No, it's all health and wellness. So obviously you're having a coffee with Cogs today.
Yes,
If
and a
there's
finger bun.
Yeah, and a finger bun. We forgot to add that. If there's anyone else in the world you could have coffee with, who would it be?
Oh, my dream would be Michelle Obama.
Okay.
Yeah, but if we can't
Have you
make
met
that
her?
happen, no.
Yeah.
I just admire
Yeah.
what she's done, what she stands for.
Yeah.
I know a lot of us do, but yeah,
Oh, I asked
she's
you that
pretty
like I'd
cool.
met her or something.
Have you?
I haven't, no. I've listened to Barack
Yeah, you
when
could
he
be
came
like,
to Sydney.
"Here's her
I went to
number."
his, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Oh, was that good?
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
It was good. Well, it probably wasn't long enough, but
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
still awesome to listen to.
They're just some extraordinary leaders, aren't
Yeah,
they?
yeah.
I love leaders that lead with example. You
Yeah.
know, that you look at the way they've conducted themselves and what they've done. They
Yeah.
don't need to make a song and dance about it. They don't actually have to shout it from the rooftops. They just do it.
Yeah.
They're the ones I admire the most.
And then the last one, if there's someone else I could interview, or that you'd love for me to interview, who would it be?
Yeah, I was thinking about this. There's an extraordinary chef by the name of Josh Nyland,
Nice.
who's a fish chef, and his whole thing is use the entirety of the fish. Don't waste it, because fish, we tend to take out the good meaty bits and chuck out the rest. So he's doing amazing things in the area of food sustainability.
Yep.
God, I could give you a list of like 25 people. You might need to arm me up. The other one I was thinking was Alexander Schumann, who's Carla Zampatti's son,
Awesome.
who has taken over
Yeah.
and maintaining her legacy. I think what he's doing is fabulous. Yeah, that's two.
No, I need it. I may
That's a
need to
start.
pick the brand. That'd be, yeah,
Okay.
more than a start. Not only for today, but for every day and our friendship that, as you said at the very start, for 13 years. Thank you so much for everything. You're a true inspiration to myself.
Right
I
back
said.
at you.
So,
You're exceptional, and I've loved watching you. Gosh, I sound old now, but I guess watching you become the leader and the man that you are, and your beautiful, gorgeous wife and your beautiful girls. I'm just so happy that you are living your dreams.
no, thank you,
So-
Mum. We better finish our finger ones.